In other news, the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, is due to visit Kyiv today. There are renewed calls for peace talks, with Ukraine's president again asking to meet Vladimir Putin. The United Nations is also stepping up its efforts at diplomacy, with visits to Moscow and Kyiv this week. It's Easter Sunday in Ukraine, with the Orthodox Church there, people reflecting on the war, which enters its third month today. As Dan Johnson reports from Lviv.
Vladimir Putin may have been to church last night to mark the Orthodox Christian celebration. But he won't convince Ukrainians he's a man of peace. Their Easter is about a resurgent defence of their country, rising again in resistance to Russian attacks. At least 8 lives were lost yesterday when an apartment block was hit in Odessa. A 3-month-old baby died here, the latest sacrifice in 8 weeks of war. The president's Easter message was high on symbolism and heavy with condemnation.
Our
souls are full of fierce hatred for the invaders and all that they have done. Our hearts are full of fierce fury. Don't let fury destroy us from within.
Most Ukrainians won't be at home this weekend. Families are scattered and so many people are on the move. Not many have made it out of Mariupol, but the evacuation efforts continue. These are the more fortunate who've reached the relative safety of a temporary shelter. Others will spend Easter Sunday trying to escape Russian shelling.
Since the Russian aggression by
the US Secretary of State is due to visit Kyiv later, bringing goodwill and support. But the prayers across Ukraine are for peace and for more of the weapons they say are needed to protect it. Dan Johnson, BBC News, Lviv.
Well, let's get the very latest now. We can go to Kyiv and speak to our correspondent there, Anna Foster. Any sign of the US delegation yet, Anna?
Not yet. It's highly unusual that we would have heard about a visit like this before it actually happens. As you know, normally these things are conducted with the strictest of security, and the high-profile visitors are brought in, they have their meetings, they're often taken to various locations, and then it's always after the event that we see those pictures and hear what they had to say. Maybe a press conference is held. So the fact that President Zelensky announced this yesterday evening at that press conference that he held in a metro station under the streets of Kyiv was highly unusual. They would be the highest profile visitors from the US to actually come here to Ukraine since the war began. President Zelensky has been, as we've heard, he's done it publicly, trying to convince President Biden to come as well. That visit may be a little further down the line. But what President Zelensky will be asking for, and he's been very open like this, is more weapons. He's repeatedly called for more weapons, more heavy-duty weapons, more sophisticated, up-to-date weapons, which he says that Ukraine desperately needs if they're going to continue to resist the Russian advance in the east.
Those weapons are coming in from different parts of Europe at the moment. It's interesting, isn't it, seeing which countries are actually supplying some real hardware on the ground and others, like Germany, which are not and still caught up in an internal debate there.
You're right. That is a source of great debate in Germany and around the world, in fact. And world leaders are, in some ways, almost trying to outdo each other in what they're giving. We see different things coming from different countries. We heard from the UK just a few days ago that they are going to send their old Challenger 2 tanks to Poland, and then Poland are going to send these T-72s into Ukraine. Very dated Cold War era equipment, really. But what is crucial is that the sort of thing that's coming in needs to be what Ukrainian forces can actually use. So some of them are out of the country, they're being trained in different places on how to use this more sophisticated equipment, but certainly older equipment that they know that they can get their hands on and use straight away is vitally important. And here in Ukraine, All eyes have been on the front line this Easter weekend, on places like Mariupol, on that 500 kilometres or so down the east of the country through the Donbass, where people have been attempting to celebrate what is a huge day in the Ukrainian calendar, Orthodox Easter. And while people here in Kyiv have been visiting this beautiful St. Michael's church behind me, not everyone everywhere can go to church today. Some of them who are defending the country have to mark this day a little differently. The men and women of Kyiv's territorial defence are celebrating Easter in the trenches they now call home. Dug into the sandy soil on the outskirts of the city, they cook and sleep here. Today they'll eat cakes here too, iced with sprinkles and blessed with holy water. They were delivered from local bakeries who want to thank these fighters for saving the city. Here in the trenches outside Kyiv, they've already repelled the Russian advance, and now they're sending solidarity to their colleagues on the front lines in the east and in Mariupol in the hope that they can do the same thing.
I would like to tell our fighters to stay strong. I understand that these are really hard times now. Everyone has families, and all the fighters are worried about their homes, wives, sons and brothers.
I'm feeling good, and I'm in a fighting mood. Let the ones who flee from our country worry. The ones who didn't took up arms. Everyone, even politicians, showed who they are. Our people showed who they are. I'm in a fighting mood, so we will fight the enemy.
Настрій бойовий, це понятно, і будемо бити ворога. Смерть для смерті принесе, а нам живот направить.